favorite time of the week one more time. It's live, and it's in the interest of the people. They're going to make you laugh, and they'll even make you mad enough to chew nails. Either way, they have you tuned in. So sit back in that easy chair and get close to a phone, because you can call and talk to them. You better get you something to drink, because you may need it also. Take it away, guys.
Baby, it's cold outside.
What happened to your wrap?
I took it off.
I thought you had on a white beard when you had that
Yeah, it did look like
wrap around your neck.
I can't be cold. I get really mean.
Welcome into another edition of In the Interest of the People. We've got a good program for you tonight. We've got a couple of special guests. We're going to have Reverend Patrick Washington with us in just a few seconds by phone, talking about an upcoming event he's got. And then we're going to have Mr. Greg Yagmeyer. He's an attorney with Rutledge and Yagmeyer firm out of Birmingham. And we're going to be talking about anything and everything and things you might be interested in. And if you've got a question you'd like to ask the attorney, now's your opportunity to get some free legal advice.
Yeah.
It's a rarity that you get free legal advice.
Good legal
They say
advice.
their advice is their time and their money. Yeah. But you can call us at 256-369-1688. Some of you have called me from time to time about getting your rights restored, about this, about that. Is the police harassing you? What can you do about it? Driving and drinking, your baby's in the wrong car seat, all kinds of questions you call that you've been given a ticket about. So tonight is an opportunity to call and talk to Mr. Greg Yagmeyer. We'll be going to Greg after our first break, and you'll have an opportunity to call us. Don't forget, Rehab First reporter says that they are the best health care anywhere. Rehab First at McGuffey Healthcare. If you're needing any kind of rehab where you've been injured, knee, playing football, wife hit you upside the head, you fell in a ditch, you had a car wreck, any kind of injury, anything you need in the line of Rehab First, or rehab, you can go to Rehab First at McGuffey Healthcare, and they can take care of you. They're open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They're available, and they've got all kinds of private care, even got long-term care if you need a long-term care. Rehab First at McGuffey Healthcare in Gaston, the place to be. We'll share more about that in just a little bit. The Christmas parade is coming up. The first Monday, that'll be a week from tomorrow, won't it?
It's shortly away.
Be the first Monday after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving next Thursday.
Right.
So if you want to be in the Christmas parade, you need to contact the Chamber of Commerce, 362-9075. And that's not right. 362-7141 is the place to call. And if you can't get them, call the Chamber of Commerce and tell them you want to be in that Christmas parade. If everything goes good and I can get Charlotte to drive me and Mary, we might be in the back of her truck riding and throwing out candy. And I think you have a driver's license.
Last time I looked.
That's the Christmas parade next Monday week, the first Monday in November. The Ritz Theater will be the home or be the host of the Talladega College Choir on the 9th day of December. So on a Tuesday night, normally the Talladega College Choir has their concert at the gymnasium there. But this time they decided to come downtown to Ritz Theater, and we appreciate this. There's a limited seating there, so if you want to go, you need to start making arrangements. That's the 9th day of December, Tuesday night. The Talladega College Choir will
Don't
be...
miss them.
Oh, they're
Don't miss
awesome.
them.
They're awesome. Can we, Mr. Engineer, can we show the Florida Boys picture on the screen? The Florida Boys is going to be at Mount Moriah Baptist Church in Pale City this coming Friday night, November the 28th, 7 p.m. Everyone welcome. It's free admission to get in, but they lock the doors and charge you to get out. No, that's not exactly true. But they will be there, the Florida Boys. It's the new Florida Boys, and they say they are awesome.
They don't look new.
Well, some of them. I think if you like some of these people, when they die, 90 years of age, they use a 20-year-old picture.
Yeah.
But the Florida Boys is going to be in Mount Moriah Baptist Church this coming Friday night, 28th of November,
That's
7
right.
p.m., free admission. You can
see that.
contact 205-533-7480 for more information. And if you can't get an answer, if you'll call me, I will put you in touch with the
It'll
right
be packed.
folks.
It'll be packed.
Dinner with Santa, December the 12th, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. This is Spring Street Rec Center, ages 5 to 11. Tickets are $7 and will be available November the 24th through December the 5th. Space is limited. Activities will include visit from Santa, photos, craft time, a spaghetti dinner, and a Christmas film. It says, parents, please drop your children off between 5 and 5:30 p.m. Feel free to go get some Christmas shopping done and be back around 9 p.m. to pick your children up. As I mentioned, it said all children must be picked up no later than 9:15 p.m. I don't know what's going to happen to your children if you're not back by 9:15. They may just put them out on the curb and say, there they are, y'all pick them up. It's sort of like you fly somewhere and you get out to go get your baggage. They're all thrown together, no names and everything. You just pick up one and take it home with you.
Yeah.
That's December the
Yeah.
12th, Santa dinner with Santa, Talladega Parks and Recreation. I can't show you this picture, folks, but I thought you might like this. It says, to get husbands,
Let me
pastor
see.
undresses and kisses females behind church members
Oh, my
at the
goodness.
beach.
Oh,
And he says by him doing this will help the women
Let me
get them a
see that.
husband.
let me see that.
And I'm
that's-
showing, we
That's disgusting.
we debated on whether showing this on TV, but our attorney advised us, no.
No.
It's, I can't believe some people believe it's garbage, folks. It shows the women all kneeled over here and the preacher going down the aisle there and kissing and some of them needs all the help they can get.
Yeah, they're going to need some help.
Somalia's Al-Shabaab says he killed 28 in Kenya. They went down and stopped this bus, and if they couldn't recite the Quran, then they were taken off the bus and killed.
Well,
So if you're going overseas, folks, you better learn a little bit of the Quran in case you get stopped. You might want to repeat it to keep them getting blowed off the mouth. Naked man fell through the ceiling of a women's bathroom at Logan Airport on Saturday, then ran out of the restroom and viciously assaulted an elderly man while he was still in the buff and bleeding before being arrested by state police. He goes on to say he was charged with attempted murder, mayhem, assault, and battery on a person over 60, assault and battery on a police officer, lewd and lascivious conduct, and malicious destruction to property. And it goes on to say they don't know how the man got on in the plane naked, or unless he got through the ceiling of the restroom and changed clothes up there, got naked and fell through the ceiling. And it goes on to say who the man is. And it goes on to say here he was taken to the General Hospital under police guard for treatment of the injuries he suffered when he fell through the ceiling. Police said he would be booked upon release and arraigned in East Boston District Court. It was not known Saturday night if the man had retained an attorney. And they said that they don't know whether they're going to be able to pin anything on him or not since he was naked. Let's see what we got here. Local poet Marshall Pope donates 10 of his religious-themed books to the Talladega Nursing Home. Marshall's been on our program 2 or 3 times, and we're going to have him back for his latest book. And we compliment Marshall for giving these books to the nursing home. His last book is Blind Faith, contains his original religious poetry. Also on the 9th of December the 6th at 6 p.m., there will be a gospel explosion that's being held at Mount Canaan Family Life Center. Special guest will be dynamic Butch McDaniel and the Gospel Trio. We got a lot of stuff going on here. Do we have the video of Sheriff Kilgore talking about the shooting in Bon Air? Okay, while you're getting it ready, our local lady, Miss Allison Montgomery, a local Talladega, she is a beautiful daughter of George and Mr. and Miss George Montgomery. She was elected University of Alabama homecoming queen and was crowned by the governor. We'll show that to you in just a second. Have you got the sheriff's audio? Go ahead.
On Tuesday, November 18th at approximately 6:30 p.m., multiple shots were fired into a residence on the 400 block of Front Street in Bon Air. One of the bullets struck a 13-year-old juvenile who was inside the residence. The juvenile was airlifted to Children's Hospital in Birmingham for treatment. He was released Wednesday afternoon. After an intensive, exhausting investigation, last night investigators arrested Patrick Robertson II, 29 years of age, of Sylacauga, and Raheem Franks, 22 years of age, also of Sylacauga. This morning, the third suspect, Demetrius Dantrell Griffin, 18 years of age, also of Sylacauga, was also arrested. All 3 defendants were charged with shooting into an occupied building. Hearing was just conducted by Judge Fannin, and he set their bonds at $500,000 each on the charges.
Do we have a motive at this point?
There was an altercation that evolved sometime prior to this, and that was the motive for the retaliation. for the suspects went and actually discharged the shots into the residence, thinking the other subject was there.
So were they shooting into the wrong building, wrong residence?
They were shooting into a residence where they thought the person that they were targeting would be, who it just happened was not at the residence.
I mean, did this come through tips or investigative leads? How did the arrest happen?
The incident did occur on Tuesday night. Wednesday, the investigators, through interviewing other people, learned of the prior incident, and the leads were developed from that.
Folks, there's no excuse for shooting in a house. That's not a mistake. The mistake was they shot the wrong person. They had intended to shoot somebody else. But you cannot justify riding down the road and shooting into somebody's house. You just can't justify it. Speaking of good things going on in Talladega, a city that's open for business, do we have the picture of Miss Allison Montgomery that we can show? This is the beautiful daughter of Mr. and Miss George Montgomery. George was our mayor here for a period of time, and their daughter going to the University of Alabama. She was appointed homecoming queen, and I think there she is being crowned by the governor. She's a personality plus, beautiful lady, and she is a senior and also a biology major. You have to be pretty smart to be a biology major, I would think. But we're proud of Miss Allison Montgomery, and not only does this speak well for her and the Montgomery family, and of course the University of Alabama, but it also speaks well for Talladega, because she is from Talladega and she will be representing Talladega. And we compliment her and congratulate her, and we wish her the best and for her future. We got to go to a break in just a moment. We got Reverend Patrick Washington. Sir, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Reverend Patrick Washington has got an event coming up real soon. He is the founder of Dynamic Ministries. It's called Discovering Your Net Worth and Mission in Christ. It's an outreach ministry, nonprofit organization founded upon the principle of Jesus Christ. The ministry gives back to the community in very creative and unique ways. Reverend Patrick, tell us just briefly about how you got involved in this ministry and what you've got coming up in the next few days.
We started the ministry to give the youth in the community something positive to do, very differently, very creatively. Things that we do are very unique. So just to give the youth something to do different in the community and give back as well. And on November the 26th, we'll be having community soup and chili day at the Talladega Recreational Center from 12 to 2. And it's free, it's open to the public. Anybody can come by and get you some soup, chili, drink, cake, whatever.
And this is going to be what date, Pastor?
The 26th, November 26th.
November, that's Tuesday? Wednesday, excuse me, that's what you said. Wednesday the 26th from 12. Can you eat from 12 to 2, or can you just get one bowl and go?
You can get a bowl to go from 12 to 2, yes,
but
sir.
can you eat 2 hours?
Yes, sir, you can eat 2 hours long if you can hold all that, Jim.
That's good. Reverend Washington, we appreciate what you're doing. You're concerned about our youth, and we appreciate you taking time to be involved and try to help those who are in need. And it says you'll be taking non-perishable food donations to be given to less fortunate families in Talladega County area. What are you looking for? I know what it says, non-perishable. I understand that. Canned good, basically.
Yes, sir. Canned goods. If you want to bring toothpaste, tissue, or however, it will be given to the Samaritan House here in Talladega.
Be given to the Samaritan House to be given out and to be distributed to whomever.
Yes, sir. Reverend
Washington, I appreciate you, man. If you need us anywhere or we want to help you in the future, you let me know.
I appreciate you, and thank you for having me on again.
Thank you for taking time to be with us.
All right.
Got to go to a break, and we'll be right back with a couple of 3 birthdays and a couple of other items, and we're going to talk to Mr. Greg Yagmeyer, attorney at law. Free advice, folks. I'm going to get everything I can out of him while I got him here. If you want to call and talk to him, 256-369-1688. Yes, we know Alabama and Auburn won, but wait till next week. Somebody's going to lose. Be right back.
Maybe.
Planning a get-together, sporting event, or special occasion, let CG's help make the event more enjoyable. CG's can advise you on a favorite champagne or special wine imported from all over the world, as well as from New York and California. Perhaps you'd rather choose a muscadine wine from Alabama. CG's also has a nice selection of the latest in stemless wine glasses or champagne and water glasses. Only at CG's can you obtain your favorite imported beer, party supplies, mixes, and a variety of nuts. By the way, don't forget a gift for your favorite hostess. Visit CG's, conveniently located in Talladega at the corner of Howard and West.
A death is a troubling time for any family. Talladega Funeral Home offers dignity, respect, professionalism, commitment, and fairness to all families in need. We listen carefully. We know that some of us find great comfort in traditions, and we work tirelessly to honor those traditions. Our professional team gets to know each and every family member to help each and every individual remember, share, and ultimately move towards healing. Contact Brittany Boozer at Talladega Funeral Home today, 256-362-0111. Talladega Funeral Home. We care because every life has a story.
Have you tried one of these? It's so good. Man, I can't believe we haven't done this before. Oh, wow, look at that. Want a bite? You're aging. Do the jingle. Do the jingle. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hey, guys. Do it again. Do it again. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. In my office.
State Farm.
I think we're good. State Farm agents are there when you need them.
Welcome back.
Last week, we both lied.
Oh, I did?
You did.
I don't lie.
There was a gentleman come by Charlotte's store, and I was over there. I keep Charlotte's. I'll try to keep Charlotte's book. I don't drink, but I'm just about ready to start drinking, trying to keep up with her books. But I was by there, and then this gentleman came in, and he says, I'll never miss y'all's program. Charlotte said, we'll call your name next week. And I said, yeah, we will. We didn't do it, so we lied. Mr. Kenneth Elston. Mr. Kenneth, we appreciate you watching every week. We appreciate all of you watching every week. And I apologize for not getting your name on last week, but it's just as good this week.
But Kenneth, I'd have got it in if I got a word in edgewise.
Mr. Sure, she would have.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Jonathan Boozer, the husband of Miss Boozer at Talladega Funeral Home, is having a birthday. Miss Fay Prey is having a birthday. Mr. Jonathan Curry, the son of Mark and Rosemary, is having a birthday. Miss Polly Truss, the daughter of Betty and Thomas Pugh, is having a birthday. I saw the Pughs recently, and they said they always watch our program and enjoy it. I invited them to be on the program. They're behind-the-scene people. They're always involved in cancer survivor programs, and we appreciate the job they do behind the scene. Laureen Ackridge, Amber Stovall, and lovely Isabella Yagmeyer, the beautiful daughter of Greg, and Greg will be with us in just a minute. Also, Kristen Nemeth, happy birthday. I think I've covered all the birthdays. If I didn't, happy birthday to you too. Atlantic City is Trump's Taj Mahal casino to close by December the 12th. So if y'all want to get your gambling in, you better get up there quick. They're losing money, so it's obvious you're not going to get any. I mean, all you folks that goes to the casino to win, and these folks that's closing down, you think they're going to give you money when they're already in the hole?
Where's that at?
In Atlantic City, New Jersey. The owner of the Trump Taj Mahal Casino in Atlantic City said in the court filing that they expect to close the boardwalk property owner before December the 12th. The company had been waning for months that the struggling casino might close. This is the third or fourth one that's closed, the fifth. It would be the fifth Atlantic City casino to close this year. So keep pumping your money in those machines, boys. Yes.
Hello, Larry. How you doing?
Is this Auburn fan?
No, it's Bama man right here.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff, if you'll get
Hey, this Miss Charlotte. How you doing tonight?
I'm very good.
if you'll get me a copy of that DVD where you was on our program at one time, I will play it again. I didn't keep a copy, Jeff, so I need to get a copy so I can show the world your smiling face.
Oh, okay. I get back. I get it back to you then. Get back with you on that. Then you show the world on me and on that.
Yeah, the world wanting to see you, Jeff.
I want to sing that birthday song that you mentioned.
Jeff, you sung last week. I don't know when we stand another night.
I don't know. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, Lord.
Happy birthday to you.
You better stick for working.
Birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to
Don't give up your day job, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing good.
All right, roll
He
tide.
does. He does.
Hey, by the way, I was at the Steppin' restaurant there Friday,
All right.
and there were a lot of people was going in and out. They're taking orders.
Well, was they eating anything while they was in there?
I ate me a hamburger steak.
They're good, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
It's delicious there. You should be in there to see me eating in there.
I've seen you eat before, and I can't stand it.
I understand how that is, boy.
Jeff,
Hey,
Jeff, let me make you a bet.
Okay.
I bet you $50 that next Saturday night, that Auburn, Alabama one's going to lose. You want to make that bet?
I got Bama all the way.
All right, Alabama going all the way.
Alabama's gonna be over though.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
We'll see about that. I'm on for road town all the way. I'm going down to my mama's Wednesday.
All right. Have a good Thanksgiving.
And I will wish y'all a happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Gotta
Oh,
go, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you.
And roll tide.
Gotta go, Jeff.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye. For you that don't know, Jeff is a graduate of Helen Keller School, Alabama Institute for Deaf and Blind, and he's my buddy. He always calls us. He's a thoroughbred Alabama fan, and don't you try to convert him. Nothing changes. Mr. Greg Yagmeyer, welcome.
Mayor, how you doing? Appreciate you having me back.
You've been here and seeing all this stuff that goes on behind the scene to bring this program out to these folks. What do you think?
I have. It's a well-oiled machine. The Today Show better watch out. You might come to their job.
Mr. Greg Yagmeyer is an attorney with Rutledge and Yagmeyer in Birmingham, longtime friends, and I have had the occasion to call on their services from time to time, and I've always been well pleased up to now, and I hope I will continue to be pleased in the future. Greg, if you will, Greg's going to be here with us for the rest of the show, and we will be talking about a multitude of things, and we will give you an opportunity. If you have a question you want to call in, if you have been abused or accused by the police or someone, and you're having to go to court, Greg will take your question. He may not give you an answer that you like, but he will give you an answer.
He'll tell you the truth.
369-1688, and we welcome your calls. Greg, if you would, look in this camera right here.
All right.
And tell the folks who you are, where you came from, where you went to school, and what you're all about.
I appreciate you having me again. My name's Greg Yagmeyer. I'm from Rutledge and Yagmeyer in Birmingham. Folks always get tripped up on my name. They think I'm from some funny place, and funny place being Augusta, Georgia. So I moved to Birmingham about 20 years ago, and we got a law practice there. We handle a variety of cases. You know, we try to help folks and, you know, help the folks against the big guys, whether it's the big companies or the corporations or the police or so forth. So that's kind of what we do, a variety of cases. We don't get involved in like bankruptcy, and we tend to stay away from divorce cases and custody battles and that. But anything outside of that, we pretty much we try to help folks as much as we can.
Greg, there's a lot of people that call me on a regular basis, not just from Talladega, but from throughout, and they say, "What can you tell us about?" They know my past, and they say, "What can we do to get our rights restored?" That we was convicted of whatever, some cases DUI 3 times, and it became a felony, and they threw the book at them. They have lost their rights. How do you respond to some of these folks who call about wanting to get their rights back about 4-time misdemeanor in Alabama, and it's a felony?
Right, the 4th DUI would be
DUI.
the felony charge.
Oh.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, you know, as you know, you're talking about the rights restored. You're talking about the right to carry a firearm or the right to vote. I mean, they have this in Alabama as they have in many states. You know, last time I was on, I think I talked about the expungement statute and trying to clear your record. But the way the legislature wrote that law, it was if you were not convicted. Some states have, if you're convicted of a minor offense or it was so many years ago, that they could get it off your record and might be able to restore some of those rights. Unfortunately, the way the law sits in Alabama with regards to the expungement that we talked about was, even if it was 30 years ago or 40 years ago, you know, that conviction will follow you. Now, as far as the process goes, you know, to try to petition, I mean, some folks try to take a long shot and try to get, you know, some sort of pardon from the governor or some aspect of that way of trying to get there, especially, you know, since we just had the election and I know folks want to have their voice heard. And quite frankly, it's an uphill battle, if I'm being honest with you, and trying to get any of that, no, regardless of how long ago it was or what the offense was when you're talking about a felony.
I agree with you. I got my rights restored. I went through the Department of Pension Security. I need to go to the Department of Pension Security to see if I can get a check started through the Department of Parole in Montgomery. And at that time, you had to go down there and go before them and plead and beg and whatever. After you completed your sentence, you paid all your restitution, done everything you want to. But now I understand that it's maybe a little easier to do, that you can probably just file an application. And there may be certain crimes, sex crimes, maybe, I'm not sure you can get your rights restored. Maybe other crimes possibly. But for most people, I think you can just go through their filing a resume or filing an application and get your rights restored. But I personally have a problem. I've never understood how losing your rights to vote, you don't lose your rights to pay taxes. You don't lose your rights to have a driver's license. I mean, in some cases you can lose your driver's license, but you still have to pay property taxes. You still have to pay automobile taxes, buy a car tag. You just lose your right to vote. I think there should be a law passed, and you can't get legislators that got enough backbones or whatever to get a law passed that once you have completed your sentence, once you paid all your restitution, and you've done everything you're supposed to do, you should be allowed to go, just automatically go back and vote. That's my personal opinion. There may be a lot of folks out there say, nah, you've been convicted, they ought to throw the book at you and bury you for 900 years and then shoot you. Whatever. And there's a lot of folks feel like you ought to be locked up for the rest of your life on stuff. And if you're willing to pay taxes, keep raising your taxes, keep folks 20, 30, 40 years in prison, let them wine, dine them, play horseshoes and watch television. That's your privilege too. But what do you think that there needs to be some corrections made in some of these laws they're passing?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the laws, they're usually by compromise. When you have the legislature and you got the two sides of the aisle and everything like that.
Sounds good to the voter. Be tough on crime.
Yeah, I mean, I keep coming back to the expungement. They've been trying to pass that forever, and there's always been give and take. I think at one point they were trying to say that, if you're convicted of a non-violent, non-theft misdemeanor, you could have that expunged. And of course, then the law and order folks would get upset about that, so they eliminated that. So that finally the law that was signed by the governor had this, absolute that you cannot be convicted. So if you got convicted of let's say having one joint in your car back in the 70s when you were listening to Led Zeppelin and the Camaro riding down the road, if you were not a juvenile, it's still going to be there. And the problem these days, I get calls all the time about this issue because somebody applies for a good job and they run a criminal background check. 5-10 years ago, it used to be too expensive for these companies to run these background checks because they would have to pay per person. And now they just pay some sort of flat rate and they can run as many as they want to. And I mean, I get calls every month about that saying, look, I was at a concert 8 years ago and I got caught, with a little bit of marijuana, and now I can't get a job at UPS as a driver.
But it's legal in some states.
Right. I just didn't ask you about it. We've been so hard on marijuana and drugs and so forth, and I'm not advocating smoking and doing drugs, folks. I'm not advocating. But it's obvious that we're not winning the war on drugs. The government is spending billions and billions of dollars trying to catch somebody smoking a marijuana cigarette. But we're not making a lot of headway on the big boys who's bringing it in here and getting filthy rich. And now some of the states are beginning to let the people vote to legalize marijuana. And I think, one of these days you're probably going to have legalized marijuana all over the United States. Just like same-sex marriage used to be taboo. But nowadays, more and more states are saying, hey, marry your spouse, marry your husband, marry your wife, marry your woman, marry your dog, marry your cat. Just whatever you want to marry, just as long as you pay taxes on it, folks. Have at it. That's a little far out.
A little bit extreme, but
But more states are going to legalize marijuana.
Yeah, that's why I talk about marijuana in the sense because, these states, Colorado being the first one, and they're trying to raise revenue by taxing it heavily. I think the theory is people are going to do it anyway. And they say there's not a link to that in violent crime. Therefore, they were able to pass. The legislature said, in this economy with government struggling to raise money, they think it's a perfect way. And I guess the story will be told in 5 years when they say, well, is there any link to that and violent crime? And since the law is relatively new, I don't think they're able to tell yet. But it prohibits people all the time, and something we talked about before we came on air, that in my opinion, this day and age, when somebody gets convicted of a DUI, it's worse than being convicted of marijuana. And I give you the example with, now we're talking about Christmas parties and festivities and everything like that. DUI is the only crime in this country and in this state that somebody can be convicted on based on one person's opinion. You have one person that pulls you over and says, I think you're intoxicated, you can't drive safely, and that's all they need to convict you and send you to jail and follow you the rest of your life. I mean, think about it. You go to a Christmas party now and somebody has 2 beers, 3 beers, and they get in their car and they say, I'm fine, I can drive home, and they go 5 miles over the speed limit and then they get pulled over. And let's say it's after midnight, so the automatic assumption by the police is he must be drunk, she must be drunk. So they walk up to you and they smell the odor of alcohol, and then they get you out of the car. And they're supposed to administer things called standardized field sobriety tests. By standardized, it's like when you're a kid in school, you're supposed to all take the same test and have A, B, C, and D to fill in. The problem is they're not applied that way, and sometimes the right answer is not on the test. You can't even make the right answer. So what they do to you is, I say like they do to my dog, they make you follow a pin, they make you walk a line, and they make you try to stand on a foot, is what they try to do. And supposedly based on that, they can determine whether you're drunk or not. And they would make the same test, let's say me standing on my foot, as they would if somebody your tender age to try to, stand on your one foot for 30 seconds without tapping your toe on the ground. And if you don't do that, that's a clue of somebody being drunk.
I appreciate you referring to my tender age.
I didn't want to get you out here on a demonstration because I was afraid you might fall over, and then we might, we might all get sued at that point,
I can see myself overweight, trying to stand on one leg. I'd be locked up for DUI, and I don't even drink. But I hear what you're saying, and I hear this all the time, folks. We even got some folks that are being arrested throughout that walking down the street with a bottle of beer in their sack. And they say, well, you must be drunk. Where's the other beer? You had to have more than one beer. And you go to court and say, well, Judge, he was drunk, walking down the street drunk. It's your word against the police officer. And who's the judge going to believe now?
Yeah, guess
the man that's been charged or the police officer?
Well, I mean, it even goes further. It's like, if they don't have a breath test, that example I gave to you, and I don't care if you make $1 a year, you make $1 billion a year, the same thought process is going to apply, and it can ruin your life forever, because then they take you down to the station. They've got to arrest you at the scene before they can ask you to blow into the machine. And if you don't blow in the machine, then the Department of Public Safety tries to suspend your license. If you do blow in the machine and you're .08 or above, then they try to suspend your license. And you're fighting 2 battles at that point. One, you've got the criminal case of the DUI, and the other, you're fighting the Department of Public Safety on your driver's license. And in Alabama, we're one of these states that we don't have what's called a hardship exception, meaning you can have a license solely to get back and forth from school or back and forth from work.
You do have this? Do not
have this in Alabama. And again, like the example you gave where you got the officer's version versus your version, in some states like South Carolina, they require these things to all be videotaped. So when an officer testifies about you're weaving all over the road, they have a video of somebody weaving all over the road. And it really helps both sides because it gets down to what the truth is, as opposed to based on one person's opinion that can send you to jail. You get arrested for DUI the first time, the maximum sentence is you can spend 365 days in either the city jail or the county jail, wherever you've been arrested on the first time. Now you've got things called interlock devices. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what that is. The legislature passed a law on DUI convictions and circumstances where they can mandate that you stick a machine in your car and then you've got to blow into it before you ever start it every single day.
Now, to me, that is probably the dumbest thing that our smart, intelligent legislators have passed. What's going to keep my wife from blowing into this machine, or your child, or your girlfriend, or your donkey, or your horse, or whatever, to say, come over here and blow in this tube?
But you're forgetting about it. You're forgetting what the answer to all that is. Follow the money.
Follow the money.
How do you think these laws got passed? Well, the lobbyists that the private manufacturers of these machines stand to make tens of millions of dollars a year. When they first passed the law in Alabama, they didn't know how to implement it. The judge was supposed to implement it, and they didn't know what to do with it.
And then those people doing that are going to get some of that money, probably.
Right. They have the law written about who gets what, but they've got to buy the machines. And guess who pays to have the thing installed in your car and to monitor it?
The person who's got
You do. Yeah. The person that has it. So then you get into Another situation of debtor's court. We're going to, we've had the example over there in Harpersville where they had the allegation of debtor's court, and so the person now is not supposed to be able to drive because they got to worry about their license. And then if they can drive, they got to blow into this machine. Forget about the cost of it or the embarrassment of it, or, they say it's a deterrent, and I don't think the national statistics necessarily bear out that having that machine in there, as the example you gave, was, was easy to get around it if you want to bad enough.
We got to go to a break. We'll be right back with Greg Yagmeyer. If you got a question for the attorney, 256-369-1688. We'll talk about anything and everything, and nearly everything.
Nearly.
We'll be back after this break.
Planning a get-together, sporting event, or special occasion, let CG's help make the event more enjoyable. CG's can advise you on a favorite champagne or special wine imported from all over the world, as well as from New York and California. Perhaps you'd rather choose a muscadine wine from Alabama. CG's also has a nice selection of the latest in stemless wine glasses or champagne and water glasses. Only at CG's can you obtain your favorite imported beer, party supplies, mixes, and a variety of nuts. By the way, don't forget a gift for your favorite hostess. Visit CG's, conveniently located in Talladega at the corner of Howard and West.
A death is a troubling time for any family. Talladega Funeral Home offers dignity, respect, professionalism, commitment, and fairness to all families in need. We listen carefully. We know that some of us find great comfort in traditions, and we work tirelessly to honor those traditions. Our professional team gets to know each and every family member to help each and every individual remember, share, and ultimately move towards healing. Contact Brittany Boozer at Talladega Funeral Home today, 256-362-0111. Talladega Funeral Home. We care because every life has a story.
Have you tried one of these? It's so good. Man, I can't believe we haven't done this before. Oh, wow, look at that. Want a bite? Your agent. Do the jingle. Do the jingle. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hey, guys. Do it again. Do it again. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. In my office.
State Farm.
I think we're good. State Farm agents are there when you need them.
More information.
What do you think about all this?
I'm not happy about it.
We don't condone, folks, we don't condone drinking and driving.
No.
We're not telling you to do that. But if, you got to be careful nowadays. And that's why you got to make sure the powers that be try to hire employees to wear a gun and a badge that are above board. They're not out there trying to drive a new car because of the number of arrests or trying to get a bonus because of the number of tickets. You got some folks that don't need a gun and badge. And when you get into court, the judge needs to look at all things. But most time they're going to deal with the police officer and they're going to back the police officer up. Because like Mr. Yagmeyer said, it's your word against the police officer's word. And in many cases, when you go to court, you've been there before, maybe a year, 2 years back or whatever, and it's just...
Well, I firmly believe that eventually it's going to bite them. The officers that are abusing that authority, it's going to come back on.
I wouldn't be surprised if and we're hearing a lot of it from throughout the country, that one of these days you're going to get into a situation and you're going to get a bogus call, and there's going to be somebody sitting there waiting to take care of you. You need to be above board. I'm not encouraging nobody to do that. I'm not telling you to commit no crime. But police officers need to be above board and be honest with the folks and use some wisdom. Everybody that you stop is not necessarily guilty. You got some figures here on DUIs.
Yeah, how many ballpark, Ms. Charlotte, how many people you think got arrested in the United States in 2013 for DUI?
Probably millions.
Yeah, this is from the Justice Department, it's not some statistics. 1.1 million people in the United States got arrested for DUI, and in Alabama alone, 15,000 people. So to put that, we got 4.8 million people in Alabama. That's including every baby, every kindergartner. So you figure how many of those folks can actually drive, and you got 15,000 DUI arrests. We gave the example for somebody who doesn't drink. You go to a Christmas party and somebody, stumbly spills some wine on you, and you smell like you walk out the door, you go in there and you're trying to call your wife on the cell phone, so you're not driving great, and they pull you over and they smell wine on you, and it's midnight, and then the assumption is you must be drunk.
Right.
And so they have to arrest you at the scene. They've got to have probable cause to arrest you at the scene in order to take you down to the station to make you blow in the breath test. So you proclaim, I hadn't had anything to drink, I don't even drink. You can't even prove that until you go down to the station, if you wanted to you know, to blow. Now they have these handheld units.
Field sobriety test, they call it.
Well, the field sobriety test are these things about walking the line.
Okay,
They look at you and they tell you, and they're all subjective. I mean, like I said, if I wanted to stare at that flag long enough and say that looks like a French flag, if somebody's going to pay me a bonus or give me a new car or something like that, I could probably think it's a French flag, you know, and it doesn't matter what it is if you want to think something so hard enough. And I'm not saying the police are all bad, and I certainly don't think you should drink and drive. I'm not condoning that, but I'm saying if you get in a situation, because again, in America, it's not illegal to drink and drive. It is illegal to be intoxicated and drive. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's
a
what the law is.
misconception, though, we've got.
Right. And you think about it, it's socially acceptable to go to a restaurant, have a glass of wine with your friends, you break bread, you know, go watch a ball game, whether you're rooting for Auburn, Alabama, who you're rooting for. I guess that might determine how many beers you drink, but you know, you have a beer or two with your friends over 4 hours. You know, in this country and in this state, you have the right to do that. And so we're getting into, you know, I was doing research to come on. You know, wouldn't you like to have the #1 football team in America 15 straight years?
Absolutely.
Well, we got the Huntsville Police Department. As of 2012, 15 years in a row had made more DUI arrests than anywhere else in the state of Alabama.
That's impossible.
They got the recipe down right.
Yeah,
and then they had one officer that was number one for 5 straight years within Huntsville. So, I mean, you know, what is going on? I don't think they have more people in Huntsville than they do in Birmingham.
I bet he's driving a new car, too, every year.
I don't know that. I don't know him. I've never come across them, but it was just easy if you do the research to think about that staggering. You live in a somewhat small city of Huntsville compared to Birmingham, and 15 years in a row, that's not just by happen chance.
They got the formula.
It's back to my theory that based on one person's opinion, they can convict you and send you to jail and take your driver's license and affect the right to work and be stigmatized like that. That's the issue I have. I mean, when you look at these statistics, unless you live in Delaware where they only arrested 215 people for DUI the whole last year.
Maybe they walk a lot.
Yeah, maybe they do. I guess out there in California, there's 215,000 people arrested. You know, and so you start thinking about those numbers and you realize that it can't be. I mean, I'm a proponent for South Carolina. If we had a video, how much does it cost to buy a video camera when they're, you know, when they do all these seizures for drugs or money or whatever, to put for the police department, to put a camera in every single car?
And we've just done this in Talladega.
Yeah. I mean, if you do that, that's the best evidence for both sides.
Right.
As a lawyer, you can recognize that your client clearly failed the field sobriety test. I mean, you see the funny videos on YouTube where somebody's walking backwards or saying, I'm too drunk, I couldn't even walk straight if I was sober.
Yeah.
You know, of course somebody's gonna go in there and try to work out some deal or do something, or else there's times, you know, where the videos don't match what the police report. There was a big case in Chicago where a officer who was one of the leading DUI arrest officers up there had written this report saying this person couldn't walk straight, couldn't do anything. And I guess they were so used to doing it, they forgot it was on video. And he walked straighter than any gymnast on a beam you had ever seen. He held his leg up like a ballet dancer. And it was just contrary to anything. But the video showed everything.
The bad part about a police officer stopping you and charging you with a crime, whether you're guilty, whether you're not, most folks, I can't say most, a lot of folks in Talladega, for say, can't afford a lawyer, first of all, to defend themselves. And of course, if you're looking at jail time and you can't afford an attorney, there'll be one appointed for you. But if you hire an attorney to defend you, that's several $100s. And then if a judge finds you guilty anyway, and you want to appeal it to district court, on up to circuit court, you're looking at several $100s, maybe even thousands of dollars in lawyer fees to defend you over a $300 charge. So most places, or most cases, they'll just say, well, hey, you know, I'll just go ahead and plead guilty and take probation or pay my fine and get it over with. And that's not right.
Yeah,
and a lot of people give up and they don't try to get
Well,
out.
they can't do anything better.
You know, the minimum and the fines have increased, and I mean the minimum fine on a first-time DUI, not court cost, the fine $600. So I mean, you're getting into the thousands of dollars easily.
That they can't handle.
You know, that somebody can't handle, or they try to get on monthly payments and they get behind. So if you plead guilty and then you lose your driver's license, they can't work, and then how are they supposed to pay? And it sort of goes into a big snowball. And they end up back in jail.
Just don't open the bag till you get home.
Yeah.
We want to talk about this Harborville thing. Folks, do we have another break we got to go to? Okay, let's go to a break and then we'll come back. We won't have to be bothered with any more breaks. Be right back.
Planning a get-together, sporting event, or special occasion, let CG's help make the event more enjoyable. CG's can advise you on a favorite champagne or special wine imported from all over the world, as well as from New York and California. Perhaps you'd rather choose a muscadine wine from Alabama. CG's also has a nice selection of the latest in stemless wine glasses or champagne and water glasses. Only at CG's can you obtain your favorite imported beer, party supplies, mixes, and a variety of nuts. By the way, don't forget a gift for your favorite hostess. Visit CG's, conveniently located in Talladega at the corner of Howard and West.
A death is a troubling time for any family. Talladega Funeral Home offers dignity, respect, professionalism, commitment, and fairness to all families in need. We listen carefully. We know that some of us find great comfort in traditions, and we work tirelessly to honor those traditions. Our professional team gets to know each and every family member to help each and every individual remember, share, and ultimately move towards healing. Contact Brittany Boozer at Talladega Funeral Home today, 256-362-0111. Talladega Funeral Home. We care because every life has a story.
Have you tried one of these? This is so good. Man, I can't believe we haven't done this before. Oh, wow, look at that. Want a bite? Your agent. Do the jingle. Do the jingle. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hey, guys. Do it again. Do it again. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. In my office.
State Farm.
I think we're good. State Farm agents are there when you need them.
Time's flying by.
It is. If you just tuned in, we have our guest, Mr. Greg Yagmeyer with the law firm of Rutledge and Yagmeyer in Birmingham. He's our guest tonight talking about miscellaneous things. If you want to call and ask any questions about maybe a situation you've been involved in, don't have to give your name. If you want to call and talk about the situation you've been involved in, 256-369-1688. It's on the screen there. Don't forget, Friday night, November the 28th, this coming Friday night, the Florida Boys will be at Mount Moriah Baptist Church in Pale City. Free admission, and then dinner with Santa will be at the Recreation Center, Talladega Recreation Center at December the 12th, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Bring your children, drop them off there, and go shopping, and leave your young'uns with somebody else. Don't forget Rehab First, McGuffey Health Care. Any kind of rehab you could possibly need, they're there to serve you. They're professionals at it. We've had the opportunity to use them in the past. Charlotte's used them, her family's used them. They're open 7 days a week. Anything you could possibly need in the line of rehab, they're there for you. And in case you need long-term care, they can take care of that for you also. Greg, you didn't ask me to do this, but what does your law firm specialize in? What type of cases? I know you're not a multi-purpose that you take care of everything, but...
Right. We handle a lot of cases, whether they're representing small businesses or folks that are injured, and whether it's injured at work, or at a car wreck or something like that, injured by big machines and stuff like that, or folks that are charged with a crime. And certainly I get a call all the time of stuff that's not in my wheelhouse, and I try to get people to the right folks. And if I don't know an answer to something, I'll be the first person to tell them and say, look, I think this other lawyer might do you a better job. So, but like I said, we help the small folks, whether it's your business or whether it's you're charged with a crime, or whether you're injured in some sort of car wreck or something like that.
What about Harpersville made the news for quite a while, and then of course we've got some other cities in the county and around the area that got caught up in this operation or this outfit that was you found guilty in court. They turn you over to this agency that you have to pay your fine to, and then they tack on a charge for I guess for handling the claim. Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, normally, each municipality like Harpersville just runs their own court system. They have their own judge, their own prosecutor, their own everything. And folks were getting put in jail, and they had this private probation service that were, if you got a $300 fine for something, all of a sudden it turned into $1,000 and you couldn't pay it, and they were just locking people up forever and ever and ever. So finally somebody filed a lawsuit in Shelby County, and Judge Hub Harrington wrote this very strong opinion, well thought out, was picked up by news outlets all over the country, where he basically said, when there was a motion in front of him, he said, even when in the light most favorable, even when you look at it in the light most favorable to Harpersville, they're running a debtor's prison, is what they were doing. And so the Shelby County courts took over the Harpersville court system. And my 17 years of practicing law, I've never heard that being done. So that's what an indication that it was, there was an article written a couple of months ago about it, talking about when folks couldn't make their basic payments to these probation services, they were having to pay more money and they'd end up in jail.
Is there and this is spreading, it's not just one city, but it's beginning to spread throughout.
Yeah, I've read about there's another suit in Childersburg of making the same sort of allegations that was filed a year or so ago. I don't know what the status is of that, but it was the same private company. They call it JCS is what the initials are, and that they were a private probation company that was just increasing all these fees. And interestingly, I started reading a John Grisham book, the newest John Grisham book last night, and that was one of the things they had in there. You know, Grisham likes to follow a lot of the Southern legal issues that come about that are happening in reality. And one of the things he was talking about was these private probation services sticking folks in jail. And I don't know whether that has something to do, not necessarily with Harpersville, but apparently it's pretty widespread of something that occurs in the South.
Can you legally be locked up for not paying your
Well, I mean,
fine?
that's why they did the debtor's
Contempt
prison.
of court? I know, but can you legally be...
Well, it depends. I mean, it's one of these situations that depends on the facts. You know, you can be locked up for not paying child support.
I'm talking about if you go to court and you've been found guilty of DUI,
Right.
the judge slaps a $500 fine to you, $50 a week, and you can't pay it, you're not working. Can they lock you up for contempt of court?
Well, they can say it's a term of your probation. They can say it's a probation violation. Now, what they were doing here was that folks were trying to pay it, and then they would just keep increasing the fine. A $300 fine ended up being a $4,000 fine because this probation service would keep charging fees for not making the original payment. It's like having a credit card and paying the minimum payment, and your balance keeps going up and up and up, except you end up in jail.
Got a caller here. Hello, caller. You got a question for Mr. Yagmeyer?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
My question is the selectivity of enforcement on the drugs and alcohol. Of those arrested for DUI in Alabama, what percentage were minorities?
That is a good question. I do not know that. You know, the statistics were not put out there by the State Department or the Justice Department with regarding that. I do not know off the top of my head, what the minorities were with DUIs.
Caller, based on what you're asking, I get more calls from minorities, folks of color, about the situation than I do of white folks. And also, I think more and more folks of color or black or African American are deprived of voting more so than whites because of being convicted of a felony and so forth. So there's no question that the voting law, I think, in my opinion, was designed to keep folks from voting. They had to do away with the poll tax, and they had to do away with other illiterate tests and so forth. So they came out with the law that, and that's my personal opinion, and I may be wrong. I know who you are, and I know that you're well read and you do a lot of research. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think personally, and I'm not afraid for you to tell who I am, but as a professional driver, I could be driving the interstates in my truck, and the majority of the people pulled over by the highway patrol or local people were minorities. And if you take a look at the arrest for narcotics, especially marijuana, I think you're going to find that even though the city has, say, 70% white, 30% minority, the arrest is going to be 70% minority and maybe 30% white. So there is much of this is selective enforcement based on the arresting officer's racial makeup or attitude. And I think a lot of the laws are written where they will adversely affect minorities more than they do the majority population.
I read some report that some folks think this is being done because they feel that most minorities vote Democrat, and this was designed to try to dilute the Democrat vote. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it makes a good argument.
I would suspect that has a lot to do with it, but there's a lot more penalties for crack cocaine than there is for powder. But the powder is going to be used by the majority population more than crack cocaine.
And
Right.
It doesn't affect your voting.
I appreciate you calling with your comments, Reverend Hank, and also I see in the paper on a regular basis where you got some folks down there in Mexico that don't like folks, and they just going out and killing them. Young folks, they take them out by the bus loads and doing away with. Even the mayor was involved in killing a bunch of young folks down there. What is it safe to walk the streets in Mexico?
Well, that's quite true. That did happen a few states south of me, but I feel perfectly safe where I'm at. As long as I don't get involved with the radical group or the drug group, I feel perfectly safe.
You better be nice.
I feel safer walking in the streets of Guadalajara at night than I would in Atlanta, Georgia.
I believe that.
How's your beautiful daughter doing?
Say again?
How's your beautiful daughter doing?
Oh, knows everything. Beautiful creature that walks the face of the earth. What trained her well?
What is she, 7 years old, 6 years old now?
We can go back up that way probably about a year from now for a month-long visit.
Holler and we'll put you on the program and call me some headaches.
Okay, before I go up there, you got to get Dr. Buckner on.
I know. How old is your daughter now? 7 years old?
I've been knowing your question again?
One more time. How old is your daughter now?
She is 5. She
5,
will be
okay.
6 in May.
Last time we saw her, she's a beautiful young lady. You say she's contrary. Does she act like her mother?
Just like her mother, hard-headed as she can be.
Have a good weekend and good Thanksgiving.
Okay, have a good Thanksgiving, Larry.
Thank you,
You
sir.
too, Charlotte.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's Reverend Hank Shiver. He lives in Mexico from Talladega, and he's moved off down there. He makes some good points.
He does make some good points. You know, if you look at the big drug busts or you read about them, a lot of them start with this minor traffic violation, and you know, you start reading these cases about folks giving consent. You can't just search a vehicle. The status quo is a warrantless search is unreasonable, and there are exceptions that the law has, and one of them is consent, meaning, do I have the permission to search your car? And when I see some of these cases, especially with large, you know, amounts of drugs or so forth with, you know, the Hispanic population, they claim that they give consent. So the idea is if you have 100 pounds of marijuana, why are they going to give consent to the police?
Right.
Don't you think they're scared when they're pulled over? They're scared of the police, afraid they're going to get beat up? And I'm not saying that applies to everybody.
Right. Well, I'm saying I don't know whether consent's actually given. That's just the easiest way for the police
Who's going to deny
search
it?
Right.
You got a guy here with a car full of marijuana, and he said, yeah, he gave us consent.
Right.
If you notice in the papers, Birmingham, Daily Home, wherever, when they arrest folks for drugs, it's usually front page of the paper, or it's all black and white color. It's a rarity you see a white person when they're arrested spread out on the front page. It's usually going after the folks of color. Now, whether that's whatever, I've said enough. Hello, caller.
Yes, Larry.
Yes,
I'm sitting here listening at all of this. I don't know what y'all are talking about, but I can tell you this. When you go down there and sit in the court and they talk to the black children, all them get time. But people are white, they don't give them time. They let them go to school and do whatever. Just go up there to the circuit court. You'll find out.
Is that in circuit court or city court?
The city court, the big court, that our perfect judges are. County court.
Yeah, that's circuit or district court, or you're right, that's over in the court, in the judicial building.
Right.
And you're saying they do.
Big judges. Go up there and listen to them.
You say they give the black children, take them out of school, but the white youngins get to go back?
No. The white youngins go to school. They tell them go to school and do good. But the black kids, they give them time.
Yeah. I appreciate you calling, ma'am.
All right.
And that's basically what we're talking about. Folks, our time is gone. When you're having a good time, it goes by. We was going to talk about Bill Cosby and all these folks that got raped by him 50 years ago decided they've been raped. Some of them went back 3 or 4 times, but we don't have time to get involved in that. We was going to talk about committing suicide. You're sick and you're not going to live. Assisted suicide. There's a lot of hot issues going out there, Greg. But I appreciate you being with us. We're happy to have you back and talk about some other things.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the open forum. We can just talk about whatever comes about.
Yeah.
We're open with the people. They can ask anything they want to about anything. We don't care. We even talk about me sometime.
Every once in a while.
You keep Mr. Rutledge straight.
Trying to.
Yeah. But if you missed the program or just tuning in, you can tune us in again at 8:30 on Channel 10. Tomorrow morning at 8 on Channel 80. Tomorrow night at 9 on Channel 80. Tuesday night in Anderson on Cable 1, you can get us at 7 o'clock on Channel 2 in Calhoun County. We thank you for watching every week. We appreciate all of our sponsors, and we hope you have a good Thanksgiving, and we'll be back next Sunday night for another edition of In the Interest of the People. Have a good week. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.